Not quite the right stuff. Perhaps got too much shade instead of good warm sunlight. Maybe took root in soil that was just a trifle poorer. Not drained quite as well as required, or perhaps a bit too close to a footpath. Took hold under limiting obstructions. Very young, there came this hailstorm. Maybe stepped upon as puppies, or smaller than all of the others. Grew too close to the downspout. Possibly their mother was just too hungry. Came up a season later with siblings that were larger, or just shy and awkward right off the bat from birth. Perhaps a trifle wall-eyed, a bit hair-lipped, or just a little deaf. Father drank some, and mother sorta accidentally fell down the apartment stairs. Family was poor, or they had prettier older brothers, often got no breakfast, and wore that old and cast-off clothing. Simply could not always find the nourishment of mother's tit. Almost killed when he was still quite small, simple, and defenseless. Came to school in old sandals, and her feet were brown and sandy. Thought herself very stupid because she could not see the print. Crippled by constant criticism resulting in chronic self-repulsion. Thought that life was over after only 16 totally embarrassed years. Mother torn up by a nasty dog before she had weaned her kittens. Survivors having to learn of life, bereft of her tender care. Unable to pay attention long enough to ever start thinking straight. Written off and forgotten, though hardly even more than infants. Left alone outside every day, slept on cardboard in the shed. Ignored into chasing, growling, barking, and then, at last, to biting. Shaken for crying by caregivers who had been busy drinking. Slowed considerably by mother's chronic illnesses. Rooted in soil made nearly toxic by construction. Watered only by the runoff from dirty freeways and oily parking lots. Diagnosed and written off as failures by those who were their role models. Told they were worthless and unworthy by parents that they just loved so blindly. Instructed at an early age by authorities just to give it up and go away. Totally invisible to those who might have been there to help them. Given away when they stopped being cute. Never socialized properly into any pack. Stunted and bent by untimely snowstorms. Grazed too low, time and time again, by passing deer. Born high to a smoking, snorting, shot up or drunken mother. Squeezed into a modular beside a desolate road without expectations. Found brothers in the prison and learned more there than at any school. Knew only a family missing a parent and led by the child of a child. Grew too close by the highway and was buried too often by the snowplow. Road salt thrown up on their branches, drained down into their roots. Perfectly formed but not meeting accepted standards of normal beauty. Written off quite early and very consistently throughout their formative years. Hatched in a smaller pond where food was not too plentiful. Finely formed fish which simply weigh less than what we count as average. Born without nurturing parents, favorable schools, or a sense of community. Nonetheless, with good effort, able to pull just above the national average. Surely you have seen them, perhaps not even noticed. Those far less than perfect, nonetheless, doing more than surviving. Even though ill-favored or scarred, maybe abused, still they strive. They surely travel just as far, but on harder roads than their brothers of better circumstances.